Hello everyone, my name is Yasmin. Welcome back to my channel. I am a breathwork practitioner, a spiritual coach, and this channel is here to talk about spirituality, wellness, self-development, anything and everything that can help you show up as your best self. So for today's video, I thought I'd wear black so I fit in with a theme, but we're going to talk about the shadow self, shadow work, how to do it, what is the shadow. You've probably heard about shadow work, so I'm going to go more into depth about what exactly it is, what it's all about, and how to do it. So let's start from the beginning. What is the shadow and how does it get developed? You are born into this world as a pure being, a pure divine being, full of light, full of love. The way our society is, for most of us, it's quite negative, and we experience traumas, wounds, hurts throughout our life. There's a lot of negativity that we experience that we don't know how to deal with. It can be something super minor, like some kid at the playground saying something mean to you that you interpreted as a trauma, to some serious, heavy trauma that some people unfortunately experience. Regardless, we all experience things that cause a trauma response in us. It can be feeling anxiety, it can be feeling shame, guilt, fear. And when this happens, we don't know how to deal with this. We don't know what's going on. We experience this heavy negative emotion within us, and it creates a shadow aspect of ourselves because we don't know how to work through that, and we just experience this, this negative emotion, this trauma. So it gets stored inside somewhere in our bodies, and it is hidden, which is why it's called shadow. So it's inside our bodies, inside our subconscious somewhere. Now, this happens multiple times throughout our life, throughout our childhood. As we grow up, we experience different experiences that we interpret as traumas throughout our life. So we have multiple shadow aspects of us. Now, you've probably heard the term the ego. So what is the ego? The ego is the version of you, the embodiment of basically the shadow aspects. So it's kind of made up from the shadow aspects. You come into this world as this pure divine being, but our human existence comes with this hardware, basically, that is designed to protect us. And that is what the ego thinks it needs to do. Based off of these shadow aspects, based off of these traumas that you've experienced that were painful, the ego gets developed and thinks that it's doing a job, a necessary job to protect you in order for you to never feel those feelings again. So we unknowingly let the ego, which is full of our shadow aspects, take over the show and take over who we are and how we show up, because we feel like we need protection, when really that's not true. All the ego is doing, it may protect us at certain times, but for the most part, it's just making us angry, jealous, resentful. It's making us play small. It's making us protect. It's making us self-sabotage. And it's taking us out of our natural state. And our natural state is one of joy, of love, of enlightenment, of alignment. And this is where we truly want to be and where we want to transcend to. But the ego takes over. And most of us don't even know that we are letting the ego run our lives, that we are letting these shadow aspects now take over who we are and hold us back. So if you have been called to watch this video, then you're probably someone who is ready and willing to do some shadow work, who's maybe noticing that these patterns aren't working for you anymore, and that you know that there is a higher way to live, and that is going to require you to do some shadow work and to do some reflecting inwards that is going to be uncomfortable. It is not comfortable to do shadow work. It's not comfortable to look at those things that traumatized us years ago or whenever it happened. I heard someone once say that doing shadow work and sitting with these aspects of yourself can truly feel like you're dying. And maybe that's a little bit dramatic, but sometimes I guess it can, but it's a truth, because that piece of you is dying. And it's a good thing, because if that shadow aspect can die off, every time you heal that piece of you, another piece of you, you come more and more into alignment with your whole authentic self. You're kind of getting rid of the broken fragments in order to become whole. So, question is, how do we do shadow work? The first thing to notice is when you are triggered. So notice when something makes you angry. Notice when something makes you jealous, when something makes you sad, makes you pull inwards, when you have the tendency to self-sabotage or play small, start to notice those things that trigger you. Because where there's a trigger, there's a wound. There's a piece of you that needs to be healed and looked at. So I'm going to use an example that I feel like a lot of people in this day and age can relate to. But let's say that you're scrolling through social media and you're looking at a post of somebody who triggers you. Maybe it's somebody who's very attractive, very successful, super happy, anything. For whatever reason, this person triggers you. You can feel anger, jealousy, resentment, sadness. Any range of negative emotions starts to come up as you're looking at this person's page. This is where you stop. You take a pause between the trigger and that emotional response. There's going to be a moment in between where you can pause and you can take a look at what's going on. This is a shadow aspect of you that needs to be healed. So how do you do it? All you need to do is firstly acknowledge it. The shadow aspect is your darkness. So if you can acknowledge it, what you're doing is shining light on the darkness. You are leading the darkness to light. So, you're triggered. You're about to feel that emotional response that you normally would, but you stop and you pause and you say, wait, there's something that needs to be looked at here. So you're going to look at it. First, you're going to notice that it is a shadow aspect. It's a separate piece of you, okay? So we usually get triggered and we think that it's us and we let it take over us. I want you to identify it as separate from you, a piece of you, but a separate piece. So you're sitting in the seat of the observer as yourself, and the shadow aspect is here. Now you're going to look at it. What is it saying? How is it feeling? What is the story that it's telling you? Because it's telling you a story. It's telling you maybe, oh, I'm not as pretty as this person. I'm not as successful as they are. And I really want to be more successful in my career, but I just am not. This person has a relationship and I really want a relationship and they have everything that I want. Whatever it's telling you, whatever the story is, just listen and understand that it is a story. I like to kind of imagine my shadow as a child because it helps me just listen empathetically and with compassion. So identify it, listen to it, and just hear it out. It's like basically a child throwing a temper tantrum. It just needs to get that energy out, to be heard, to be loved, to be listened to, and to be shown compassion. So just hear it out and just sit with it. It can be really uncomfortable when you're experiencing really heavy emotions, especially if you're looking at past trauma. But just know that you are safe. It really is just a feeling. It's just some emotions that need to pass through your body. So breathe through it, just be present, and consciously let it go bit by bit. If you listen to it, if you shine light on it, if you acknowledge it, it will pass through you. You just need to sit with a little bit of discomfort maybe, sit with it, and it will pass. It's really that simple. It might not be easy, but it is really that simple. There definitely are bigger emotional traumas that we have that aren't going to be passed every single time they're triggered that you do this. Some things need to be worked through fragment by fragment, piece by piece. So just know that every time you do this, you are healing a part of you that was creating darkness. So it's a really, really beautiful thing. It can be challenging to do. It can be difficult, especially if you're not used to it, especially at first. If you have been avoiding your negative feelings for your whole life or repressing, suppressing, or escaping them, it's going to be uncomfortable. I'm just being honest. It's going to be uncomfortable, but it is okay. You are safe. Just know that you're safe. Sit with it, really focus on your breath, and just know that it's just a piece of you that needed love, that needed compassion, that needed comfort in the moment that it was created and it wasn't shown that. So now you have a chance to show that part of you the compassion and love and understanding that it didn't get when it was created. That's it. That's really all it takes. So I invite you to start to notice your triggers throughout this week. And instead of running away from them or avoiding them, repressing them, suppressing them, know that it is okay to stop. Just respond differently this time. Notice that space in between your trigger and your emotional response. pause and take a second to just look at what's going on. What am I feeling? What's the story? What are the thoughts? What is the emotion behind all this? And just hear it out. See it as a child. See it as whatever you like to that is separate from you. And just hear it out. It just needs to be heard, and it passes through you. I promise. It is so rewarding, and the more and more you do this, the more you can heal those parts of you and become whole and complete and feel so much lighter and show up as the authentic, radiant, magnetic person that you came into this world as. So that is it. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe and leave a comment down below on any experience you have with shadow work, anything that's coming up for you, or any other topics that you'd like me to cover. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. So thank you so much, and I will see you guys soon.